It's never too early, it's never too late to build healthy habits, so start today.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Parenting is a Lifestyle, episode 5, which happens to be part 3 and our final part of our series on functional constipation. If you haven't yet checked out part 1 and 2, I invite you to do so, where we discover what constipation is, why it happens, the symptoms, and ways in which you can optimize your child's treatment and even prevent it. Now, on the Parenting is a Lifestyle podcast, we focus on the importance of healthy habits right from the start of a child's life. When we as parents understand the impact of our decisions on our children, we may be more likely to make positive lifestyle changes to reflect these priorities. While there are no guarantees in life, we can only do the best we can with the knowledge and skills we have at the time to improve our own and our children's quality of life. And when we know better, we do better. I'm Dr. Richa Agnihotri, a community pediatrician board certified in lifestyle medicine, and today we will be continuing our conversation about functional constipation and strategies to maintain a mindful approach in your day-to-day lives with a summary of my top tips. So, first and foremost, mindset is very important. Parents understand that this is a learning process for both the parent and the child. And during this learning experience, the child's relationship with their own bodily functions, their thoughts, their feelings about themselves, and their relationship with you remains crucial. Patience, kindness, compassion will all go a long way. And a good mantra that may be helpful is, a moment of frustration may indicate an opportunity for connection. So as soon as you feel you are getting frustrated along this toilet training or constipation prevention or treatment journey, remember to take a pause, check in with yourself and your goals. How do you want to show up in this moment as your child is developing a relationship with their own body? And go forward with that in mind. This may be something you would like to seek help for as well. So reach out to your child's doctor or your own doctor for some strategies, and sometimes a counseling or coaching approach for your own mindset can be helpful as well. Remember that your child is building a relationship with their body for the rest of their lives. This is no small moment. Next, plan ahead. What can you do to keep bowel routines regular and to optimize fiber and fluid and movement in the daily routine? What words are you using around stools or bodily functions? Understand that small steps are the big moments. These are crucial. For example, the words used around poop, gas, burping, that sort of thing, these are all important. If passing wind is a bodily function, try approaching it as an objective bodily function. Try to avoid labeling it as smelly, gross, any other negative connotations, which can instill a sense of shame or guilt or negative associations along with a very natural bodily process, thereby hindering adequate prevention and management. Something to just keep in mind. Create a SMART goal. Be specific. I will have my child sit on the toilet after breakfast in the morning for 5 minutes while I take a breather to talk to them and explain the importance of listening to their body so that when they feel the urge to poop, they stop what they're doing and go. Remember to avoid putting pressure or stressing out the child or creating a stressful experience for them, which can create a negative association with toileting as well. Next, make it measurable. I will review this at the end of the day and the week to see how it's going for my child, myself, and my family. For example, how does my child feel with an empty bowel after each meal or at the end of the day? Or maybe they're having fewer bouts of tummy pain or their appetite is going up again. For the family, is it practical? Can you continue to do it? So check in and see whether it's actually improved the quality of your lives as well. Another way is that you can keep a Bristol stool chart in your washroom to see how regularly your child is stooling. Next, achievable. In my busy schedule, this is something I can realistically achieve this week. So remember, your SMART goal needs to be something you can actually achieve and make time for. Next, make it relevant. I understand the importance of regular bowels, and I don't want my child to experience constipation again, so preventing it is important. And lastly, make it time-bound. So at the end of the week, you review. I will review at the end of the week and see where there's room to make more positive change in the intended direction, or where there are other things that we can do to make it more realistic as far as our bowel habit goals are concerned. Perhaps this means checking in with your own bowel regimen as parents because you are the models. Again, keep in mind that patience, kindness, and compassion for yourselves will go a long way. Routine bowel habits do not happen overnight, so patience is critical. And after each quote-unquote exacerbation of constipation, for example, a child may become constipated with a new transition in schedule again. The process likely then needs to be restarted. So this is not something that you solve and goes away forever necessarily. It may just continue to occur again. So it's important again to have a mindset of growth and learning, but also to be patient and compassionate toward yourself and your child through this process, because you may likely be encountering it again and again, and your child needs to give themselves compassion every time as well. So, what does a stooling routine look like? Perhaps you create a visual or daily schedule as a priority. For example, after breakfast, you schedule in potty time with no expectation to poop, only to try, as you would attempt to be enabling the body to do its thing in line with the gastrocolic reflex. Having a stool under the child's feet is really important at the appropriate height. So have the child sit on the potty, do some mindful activities after each meal. This is an opportunity for connection of the child to their own bodily functions and sensations, and potentially with you as a caregiver, someone whom they can rely on to validate and assist them through struggles. Mindful breaths can be helpful. Be a gentle and calming presence, avoid stress, avoid negative words or actions, and avoid rushing. It's important to remember that a child may not poop every time as well, and that's also okay. Have a fiber-rich diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables, apples, pears, etc., where the skin is on, which has an insoluble fiber that creates a fiber bulk, of course, as age appropriate. Generally avoid any foods that can make constipation worse. For example, refined grains like white breads or excess dairy or ultra-processed foods. So the more fiber, the better. So choosing broccoli, carrots, veggies, fruits, whole grains, whole wheat bread, quinoa, oatmeal, beans, lentils. You can get creative and grind these things into sauces or even serve as snacks or smoothies. You can add ground flax to your smoothies to increase fiber bulk, and even to cereal or oatmeal in the morning, for example. Remember, as always, to discuss with your child's doctor, as this is all general information. It's not a one-size-fits-all, and it's important to have a personalized approach to each child's diet and lifestyle. Eat less ultra-processed food, which tend to have less fiber in them. Have more water. Even small, frequent sips throughout the day can be very helpful, especially when it's warm outside, as the child may be expending more energy and sweating and losing more fluid, which can exacerbate constipation. Model this by drinking water too. Water is also the drink of choice as per Canada's Food Guide. Keep the body moving. Be physically active, whatever that looks like for any of you. And parents can also model this. The gut is a muscle. So it's important to keep physically active to keep the bowel going as well. Plus, all of the other benefits of regularly keeping the body moving. It's also a great opportunity to connect. For example, when I was young, I remember walking after dinner with my granddad. And now we have, in the warmer months, continued this tradition. And remember that every small step counts. Every small amount that you are more physically active today actually has a ripple positive effect. If the goals are too high, for example, you go from no physical activity to an hour a day, that may be very difficult to sustain with the current lifestyle that you have. So start small and build up, and then you will make lasting, more sustainable change. Canada's movement guideline for reference recommends 150 minutes per week for adults of moderate to vigorous activity, and for children, 60 minutes a day. So check out that guideline, and again, talk to your own doctor and your child's doctor for how this information and the information in other guidelines pertains to your own health and your child's health. Next, sleep on a routine. Sleep actually does impact our bowel function and vice versa, so please make sure that your child is achieving adequate quality and duration of sleep, which means looking at the entire routine for a 24-hour period and your own sleep hygiene and your own sleep routine. Next, think about how much time your child spends being sedentary, which means not moving. Especially when children are on the screens, this can encourage more sedentary behavior. The 24-hour movement guidelines actually recommend limiting sedentary behavior for 2 hours at a time, depending on the age of the child or adult. Another tip is to remember to try to build in breaks after every few minutes. So work on scheduling in screen time and regular breaks such that the screen time is planned, it's deliberate, being mindful about what the screen is being used for, and being mindful that it's not disrupting the bowel routine. The other thing is to keep in mind that a child is not on the screen necessarily when they are on the toilet. But again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. But in general, if your child is on the screen while they're on the toilet, it can disrupt that connection that they have with their bowel. Another crucial tip is to be mindful throughout the day. When parents practice mindfulness, you will be more likely to encourage your children to practice mindfulness throughout the day, which is non-judgmental awareness of the present moment and allowing yourselves and your child to check in with your body. Intuitive eating, for example, encourages children to eat when they're hungry and stop eating when they're full. Being mindful about bowels also means going to the potty when they feel the urge to poop so that they are not holding it in. When children hold in their poop, they start the whole cycle of constipation all over again. So it is really important to listen to the body. And it's important to be mindful around the actual stooling process as well, as we've discussed earlier. Another tip would be to have a printed Bristol stool chart in the bathroom. This can be something your child then develops a sense of pride and autonomy in, where they may be able to identify the type of poop they've passed. Knowing that the goal is a type 4 to 5 on the Bristol stool chart, they can have a visual then to see, okay, if I've passed a 1 to 3, maybe I need to have more fiber in my diet, more fluid, more physical activity, and then we'll reevaluate when I poop again to see what type of poop I've passed. This allows them to build that autonomy, that confidence, that self-efficacy, a feeling or a belief that they can do the things they set out to do. I've created a resource which can be found on parentingisalifestyle.com summarizing these tips and episodes 1 to 3. Join our newsletter and you'll obtain free access to this resource and more. You can also follow our podcast anywhere where podcasts can be found and on YouTube, and join the Lifestyle Parenting community, which is a non-judgmental, compassion-infused space where our motto is, it's never too early, it's never too late to build healthy habits, so start today. Please subscribe and do not hesitate to rate, comment, and share, as this helps support the podcast, and let me know what topics you'd like to hear more about. Until next time.
It's never too early, it's never too late to build healthy habits, so start today.